So, I always get different topics thrown at me and questions that I ask. And one of the discussions that I've come across recently is this idea that a man needs to earn a woman's love. Okay. And a lot of women will agree with that statement when it's said. Okay. Off the bat, it's like, yes, absolutely. And I understand why people agree with it, but I think we need to break this down because I feel that this topic can create some problems. Okay. And we have to understand that in this world of navigating dating and relationships, one, no matter how much we want things to be like the old days are gone. All right. We're in a new age and we have to adjust to certain things, right? There are certain principles that will remain the same, that are timeless no matter what, but there are other principles that need some tweaking and adjusting. Now, before we get into this, I want to say, I want to recognize it's a new year, right? And that can bring about a stronger desire to make changes, create better results, start doing things in a different way. And that's one of the reasons why I create these videos, because it's all about helping you not just have a healthier romantic relationship or successful romantic relationship. It's about you having a healthy relationship with yourself. It's about you living a higher quality of life. It's about you receiving the things that are truly best for you and are going to create more peace and happiness in your life. And I know one of the keys to accomplishing that is counseling, is getting help and allowing yourself to resolve any past issues, and not just even past issues, sometimes just being able to vent in the current time that we're living in and get things off your chest and decompress, process things, and see things in a way that's going to help you move forward in a positive direction. And that's why I am so grateful to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video today. And so I truly recommend checking out BetterHelp because they can connect you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful and unbiased advice. If you think you might benefit from therapy, consider BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Stephan Speaks. I know starting therapy can be hard, and the right therapist for you may not be in your area. And some people find the face-to-face interaction of therapy uncomfortable. To get started, you go to BetterHelp and you can fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you'll get matched with your therapist in most cases within 48 hours or less. Over 4 million people have used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life. So start your journey today with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Stephan Speaks. Clicking that link helps support this channel, and it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. Also, before I get into breaking down some of the different angles and points that come along with this idea of a man needing to earn your love, I want you to understand this. We got to start separating love and relationship because they're not the same thing, okay? For example, loving someone is something that I believe to be loved, everyone deserves that, no matter who they are. And love is something that I can give to anyone, right? Literally, I love every last one of you watching this video. I love you if you don't watch this video. I care about everyone. I want everyone to receive what's best for them. But just because I love you all doesn't mean I can be in a relationship with every last one of you, right? It has a different set of requirements and different things that have to be considered. But because we are conflating those two things, we're creating a lot of confusion and creating unnecessary issues. So as I go along and you're going to hear this reoccurring theme, just remember that we are going to separate love and relationship. All right. Now, with that said, let's break this down further. This whole idea of why a man needs to earn your love. So one of the points that is commonly made is he needs to earn your love because you don't know what his intentions are yet. Okay. So a lot of women naturally have met men, and though they may have gone into it seeking something serious, may have ended up very disappointed, finding out he wasn't looking for anything serious. He was just playing games. He wasted her time, so on and so forth. And due to these disappointments, you have a lot of women who will make the argument that, listen, you can't be doing too much too soon. You need to hold back. You need to wait to see what he does. Again, he needs to earn it. He needs to work for it. Again, it's like he has to show you he is worthy of you being vulnerable, letting your guard down, and allowing him closer to your heart. The problem is that if you think holding back, having walls up, is the way to more efficiently discover a man's intentions, you are mistaken. All right. And if anything, you are making it harder for yourself to see what his real intentions are, or you are actually, in some cases, derailing the situation and the potential of it. What I mean is this. One, let me first say there's a quote that I love saying a lot, which is the same walls you have up to protect you are the same walls blocking your blessings. So walls up are a problem, all right? Because going back to the whole idea of love versus relationship, a wall up restricts your ability to give love or receive love. All right? Because that guardedness is going to cause you to either not be receptive to certain things, be very skeptical. It's going to cause you to hold back. It's going to throw things off. And the reality is that that may not hurt you if you're dealing with someone who genuinely was not serious about being with you, right? That 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 will help you not give and pour into someone that wasn't prepared to pour back into you. However, if you're dealing with a man who actually has genuine intent, and because he is a human being with his own concerns and fears, your walls could end up pushing him away. Your walls can end up causing problems, okay? And even if it's the guy who's not serious about you, some of those dudes aren't scared off by your walls. That's the crazy thing. The guy who has more genuine intent is more likely to be repelled by your walls. And the guy who is going to waste your time does not care. He'll come anyway because to him, all he cares about is getting whatever he's trying to get from you. Sex, a good time, whatever the case may be. All right? So all that to say, if you think making him earn your love through you holding back is going to help you, it's not. It's not. And if anything, you being willing to give love, be open from the jump, be yourself, will help expose him faster. I'm always telling y'all this. Like, think about the quote, you don't drive out darkness with more darkness, you do it with light. So your love is light, and that light will expose the darkness in the individuals who are trying to deal with you. Because if you are coming loving and pouring into this person and showing up as your true authentic self, if this guy is just there for games, that is more likely to repel him. So think about how the wall will repel the good guy, but not repel the bad guy. Well, being your light, your loving self can actually repel the bad guy and draw in the good guy. Because and it's not 100%, but because the guy who just wants to have fun, what you may not realize as a woman is plenty of men, if they see you're a woman who is what they call going to be in your feelings, is putting yourself out there. There's a lot of men who are going to say, you know what, this is going to be too messy for me. I'm not even going to go there with her. Let me leave this alone. All right. Also understand that because you are opening up, because you are pouring in, you now can hold him to that same standard. And if he's serious, he'll meet it. If he's not trying to meet that standard. Therefore, you expose him faster. All right. I hope this is not confusing. I know I'm saying a lot, okay? I hope you're following me here. But the bottom line is you will expose his intentions faster by being more open. So having the mindset he has to earn your love can cause a problem in that way. All right. So another point to discuss when it comes to this whole idea that why a man needs to earn your love is that some people believe that men are hunters, so you have to let them hunt, right? Now, there is a level of truth to the nature of men being a hunter, right? And the nature of men liking a challenge and wanting to conquer that challenge. The problem is how that applies to real, genuine relationship versus everyday life. As well as, let's first discuss the epidemic, in my opinion, of what is low testosterone in men today. So there are tons of men now of all ages. I'm talking, they could be 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. Testosterone is super low. And on top of the testosterone being super low, a lot of other health markers are not where they need to be. There's a deficiencies in a lot of different ways. Either way, testosterone is a huge contributor to that man having that drive, that focus, that energy, right? Wanting to go out there and do things, that hunting mentality, so to speak. And so because that is such a problem today, a lot of men don't have that same energy. They don't have that drive anymore, right? So expecting them to be hunters or even want to have to always hunt, it's not like it used to once be. That has to be understood. I'm not saying that's okay. I'm not like I encourage men to get their testosterone check, get healthier. I want men to get back to their full essence, so to speak, their healthiest self. But it is a reality as to why you're not going to see the same level of desire or willingness to do certain things like the man of old used to be. All right. Health is a big factor to that. But let's go back to my first point of the difference between how it applies to everyday life and romantic relationship. So let's just use the example of a healthy man. So there's no testosterone issues or he's fine regardless, right? And let's say he's a guy that has a great desire for women. He likes being out in these streets, okay? That guy truly enjoys the hunt because even not every man wants to be out there in these streets. I know y'all might think that, but it's just not true. There are men that I call them relationship guys, right? They just want one stable woman. They really don't care about this whole dating this one and that one. That's not their thing. They would rather just be married or be in a long-term relationship and be settled, and that's it. They don't have a desire to be out there, quote unquote, hunting, right? Regardless of where their health is. They can be their healthiest self. That's just not who they are. But let's say it's the guy who likes to hunt. So he may find enjoyment in that when he's dating, when he's looking for women to sleep with, he's looking for his next conquest. That might feed his ego and things of that nature. But even that man, let him meet a woman that he thinks this is the one. Like this is future wife. And another myth out there is that the man needs all this time to come to that conclusion. Not true. Men, they may not know for sure you're going to be their wife, but believing that there's a potential here that you could be the one happens very quickly. Okay? Once that happens and he now becomes emotionally invested, then his mentality isn't, I want to hunt her. His mentality isn't, I want her to make it a challenge and make it difficult for me. Because now, when love or that deep emotional investment is involved, the man becomes more sensitive to what the woman does or doesn't do. He becomes more sensitive to what you do or do not say. He is more invested to where now little things can actually hurt him. Making him chase you, being a challenge, can now start to pull out insecurities in him. All right? Because again, he is more vulnerable here. So thinking that, well, I need to make him earn my love because he's a hunter and I know that's what no, that's not going to work. We're talking about genuine situations. You may have some people out there who say it works for them, but those are in the minority. And the problem also is in today's world where there are more men who have been exposed to disappointing situations. Because think about this for a second. When we keep dwelling on the old days, what we overlook is that the old days did not have such a free-flowing dating environment, right? Meaning you didn't go on all these different dates with all these different people and had all these different people to talk to and want and have your hopes up and then be disappointed. It was limited to the local area, to friends of the family. Therefore, people were exposed less to disappointment, hurt, getting played, things of that nature. I mean, once upon a time, the idea of a woman having you take her out for a free meal, and I know some of y'all feel like that doesn't happen. It absolutely does. That idea was not, at least it wasn't prevalent once upon a time. Now it can happen all the time, okay, to a lot of guys. So all that to say, that built up emotional trauma, disappointment, hurt, makes people even more sensitive, fragile, things of that nature once they are emotionally invested and have real feelings involved. Okay? So, all that to say, you got to get rid of the men are hunters mentality when it comes to something real. It's not going to work. So, again, if you're thinking he has to earn your love for that reason, no, if anything, what the man who is genuinely into you wants is not your resistance, it's your reciprocation. That's what he wants. He wants to know that you're going to give the same effort he's giving. He wants to know that you're as interested in him as he is in you. He wants to know that you are attracted to him, that you desire him. He does not want this whole I have to chase and because here's the last thing I'm going to say and we'll move on to the next point. What we also have in today's world is we have more outside noise than ever before. We have more, whether it be through the internet, through friends, acquaintances, whoever, other voices that now have the opportunity to pour negativity or negative thoughts into people's heads. So even you as a woman, if you're dating a man, even when things are good, some of you have to be careful because all it takes is that one person to be like, you sure he's not married? Or you like they're gonna give you some negative thought because that's what they went through. And now they might have you questioning your good situation. And then you end up mishandling it. Well, the same thing can happen to men where if you put him in a position where he has to quote unquote chase you, earn your love, whatever, that leaves room for another guy to come in and be like, oh, she's not serious about you. Oh, she's playing games with you. Oh man, you better leave her alone. You better go find someone who wants you like you want them. Like, you made it easy for people to now sabotage your situation because you're not showing up the way that you need to. So be very careful with that. But yes, understand the men are hunters thing doesn't really apply to real feeling. All right, so let's keep this going. And another ideology that supports or that goes with this whole idea that why a man needs to earn your love is the belief that men don't appreciate what they don't have to work for. Okay. Now, this one has a level of truth to it, right? But let's break it down so we look at it correctly. I do believe in life in general, people will appreciate less what they don't have to, whether it be work for or invest in, give something in return. Like, it's the whole idea. I remember I was speaking to a guy many years ago, and once upon a time, he used to run a lot of nightclubs. And he said he found that when they would have a free night or whatever, free entry, people would come in, and if it wasn't good right away, they'd leave the club in 15 minutes, all right? They wouldn't stick around. But when they made sure they gave a proper cover charge, $20, $30, whatever it was, even if the person walked in and let's say the first 15, 20 minutes, the club is not popping, the mentality is, oh, I'm not just going to leave. I don't put $20 into this. I'm staying and I'm going to get my money's worth. And then before you know it, enough people are there and now everyone's having fun and it's a successful night. Okay? When we don't have anything we have to invest, we don't take things as seriously. Another perfect example, I knew a guy who was a trainer. And he has tons of stories of When he would give people free sessions and things like that, they wouldn't be consistent, they wouldn't take it serious, and they wouldn't stick to the plan. But the people who had to pay and pay full price, oh, they showed up. They showed up. And so even though he did not mind charging less and things of that nature, he realized that there was a price point that he needed to stick to that created more consistent customers who were going to follow the plan, get the results, which then only brought him more customers anyway. Okay? So with that said, I do believe in general, people have to make some kind of investment. Where I think we get this wrong within the context of a man earning your love is the idea that he's the only one that has to make the investment. The idea of, all right, you just get to show up and see what he will do, see what he will work for, and you're going to make him work, right? But you're not rewarding along the way either. And rewarding, I'm not saying rewarding is you giving it up to him, all right? That's not what I'm saying. But rewarding is showing that interest, showing that desire, making efforts on your end as well, right? Like I hear a woman say, he's not asking to go on a date. And let me just say this real quick. This is just a complete side note. Some men could have complete interest in you. And they do want to see, like their desire to see you, but not initiate going on a date every single time. Not saying I think initially the first few times, it's just understood we're going to go on a date when we're serious about somebody. But over time, a lot of guys just aren't into going out. Like if you talk to a lot of married couples, one of the complaints you'll hear from tons of married women is we don't go out anymore. And it's not because he don't love her. A lot of men just don't care for going out like that. And if they can just chill home with you, that's just their natural preference, okay? But I say all that to say that man who's genuine about being with you, who likes you, who's serious about you, if you say, hey, let's go out, they're not going to be against it. You see what I'm saying? They may not be the initiators of it, but they're not going to have an issue with doing it. That's what makes you happy. But a lot of women won't express that desire or they want to hear the man say, I want to see you, but they never say to the man how they want to see them. Okay? And that's what I'm talking about when I say reward. Because if the idea is, yeah, he has to make an investment, absolutely. He has to do his part. But you have to do your part too. Because here's the other thing with men. If he feels like his work is not getting him anything, he will stop doing the work. Like men can be very simple in the sense of if they know doing this plus this equals that, and that is what they want, they'll do it, right? But if they feel like, man, if I do all these things and I don't get that reciprocation from her, I don't get that appreciation from her, why am I going to keep doing it? Now, some of you may say, well, if he was genuine, he would do it anyway. He wouldn't need my reciprocate. He wouldn't need something from me to validate him doing it. Here's the problem. In many cases, there's a lot of things men do for the woman they love that they genuinely don't care for. All right, like they're not doing it because they really like doing it themselves. They're doing it because they know that's what you want. And that's what happens in relationships. In many relationships, there's going to be things that we do for our partner that maybe we're not crazy about, but we know it makes them happy. And we get our happiness from making them happy. But if we're not receiving any appreciation or feedback from them, we don't even get to feed off their happiness. And so now that person feels like it's a pointless action. Why would I keep doing it? So you got to make sure that the way that the structure is set up is that when he is pouring into you, you are rewarding that with some kind of feedback, of appreciation, of pouring back into him or whatever he needs. And so now you are able to accomplish the idea of, well, he won't appreciate what he doesn't have to work for. Well, he clearly is working, right? But he'll keep doing the work when he sees you are appreciating his efforts. You see what I'm saying? I hope that was easy to understand. All right, so we got a couple more to go. And another supporting belief behind the idea of why a man needs to earn your love is the idea that if you do too much, you're going to get played. Okay? So this is another one where there's a level of truth to this, but again, we have to put it into proper perspective. So, yes, are there tons of women out there who meet a man, start dating him, and they start doing way too much, too fast? And eventually it ends up getting them used and taken advantage of and getting played. Absolutely. However, I would argue it's not what they're doing that's getting them played. It's the fact that they're overlooking how he's handling what she's pouring into him and what she's doing for him, and how she's overlooking the fact that he is not doing for her in return. He's not doing his part in that equation. And one of the reasons that the woman will overlook the disconnect that exists there while she's doing so much for him is because her doing is born out of insecurity, not who she really is. What I mean by that is this. There's a lot of women where, and it might be you, and I want you to, I don't want you to beat yourself up about it, but we got to talk about it, where deep inside, that woman is lacking confidence and in a belief in herself that she can either receive better, or she might feel like this is an opportunity she can't lose, or that maybe she's afraid because of her past situations. Men have left her and things haven't worked out, so she's trying to overcompensate, right? And again, it's all born out of insecurity. It's born out of unresolved trauma. And when it's born out of those things, well, it's because she's so fixated on, I got to make this work. I got to keep this man. I got to impress him. I got to make sure he likes me. She's ignoring the fact that, but what does he do for you? She's ignoring the fact that he's not showing his appreciation. She's ignoring the fact that when she needs something, he got nothing but excuses. But he's quick to ask her for stuff, right? So again, it's not simply what she's doing, it's why she's doing it. Because that's very different from the woman who someone else feels is doing too much, but this woman that's just who she is. Like, there's some women who are just natural givers, they love to do for people, that's just who they are, right? But in the midst of their giving, they are still fully aware of what's happening here. And they're not doing it because they lack any confidence. And because of that, they are not afraid to walk away from a man who's not going to do his part in return. So the key is the awareness. The key is to not come into these new situations unhealed from your previous disappointments and hurts. All right? Because that's what's blurring your vision. That's what's causing you to accept less than you deserve. Right? It's not getting to the root of, why am I insecure? Why am I feeling like I have to prove myself to this man rather than him having to prove himself to you? And again, I think both sides just need to show up as their true self. It's not about anyone proving anything to anyone, right? It's about two people being their authentic selves and seeing, are we in alignment with each other? Do we have a connection? That's it. And if it's not there, it's not there. And I think one of the things that will help with that is, we can't go into new situations saying, I hope this is it. This got to be the one. No, it's let's see if it is. Like, if we go into this situation to discover what is there, then it's easier for us to accept when, this ain't it either, right? It may suck. We kind of, there's always be a part of us that we may have been hoping for things to work out, but we understood this is a discovery process versus an opportunity to catch someone. You see what I'm saying? Because now that I got to get them, I got to catch them, one, we might cross lines we shouldn't cross, and then if it doesn't work out, we're more hurt and more devastated, and therefore now when we get to the new situation, it causes new problems. So all that to say, You don't have to be afraid to give. Giving isn't what gets you played. It's about being aware, understanding what's in front of you, resolving past issues and hurts so that you can evaluate things from a healthy place rather than an unhealthy place. All right, so here's another point I want to make, and then I have one more after this that you have to hear. But the other point I want to mention about this idea of why a man needs to earn your love is the quote that says, "You never have to chase what God sent." So one of the things I've noticed is that women completely understand the idea of God's not going to want you chasing some man that he says is for you. If this is the man he truly has for you, why would he want you to go through the whole chasing and all this stuff, right? What he wants you to be is be ready, be present, be prepared so that you can receive it when the time comes. But for some reason, a lot of women don't apply that same perspective to the man. Meaning, why would God want a man, his son, one of his children, to have to chase the woman to be with? If that's the woman for him, if that's the woman that God has prepared for him, why would he want him chasing her? Why would he need to chase her? Because you don't have to chase what God sent. You have to be prepared for what God is going to send. You have to be positioned for what God is sending, right? You have to be able to nurture it and honor it and cherish it. But chase it? No. Because here's the reality. Chase, and I'm using the word chase, and I know that the title of this is earning your love, but let's face it, the whole perspective of earning your love pretty much kind of flows into the whole chasing mentality, at least for many. It might not be how all of you see it, but for many of you, it kind of goes hand in hand. And chasing can become a distraction, all right? There's a lot of men out there who bought into the idea of chasing after a woman only for that to be the exact thing that derailed him, that took him off his purpose, that he lost opportunities from, that he ended up in a worse position. That's not to blame the woman, but it is to highlight the fact that chasing isn't necessarily some healthy thing or positive experience for everybody, okay? Also understand that chasing for a lot of men, if we were to say to men, okay, yeah, the woman never has to chase, but the man does. Well, then how does he know which woman he's supposed to chase and not chase? Because if every woman gets to just sit back and say, well, you have to prove to me, you have to earn my love and vulnerabilities, right? So chase, well, it's then very easy for this man to find himself, let's say the next 5 women he finds interest in, he chases all of them, but none of them actually want him or none of them are good for him, right? And so now he's wasted all that time and energy chasing all these different things. And again, at the end of the day, you don't have to chase what God sent. So we have to understand that for both parties involved, the man and the woman, it's again about preparation and positioning. It's about timing, right? But never about chasing. And if anything, we both have to just be open to receive what is best for us. That's it. All this other stuff, it plays into game playing. It can be a form of manipulation in certain ways and control. And again, it's typically coming from an unhealthy place. So that's a big reason why I think we have to get away from that mentality and take what I believe is a healthier approach to achieving healthier, successful relationships. All right, now before we end this, I have one last important point I want to make to you. And that is, if you are trying to make a man earn your love, then ask yourself, do you really like him to begin with? Like think about this for a second. Do you really have interest in this man, or are you simply entertaining the situation and seeing if he gives you enough reason to go along with it, right? Because what you find in a lot of these cases is that the woman's interest in the man isn't that strong to begin with. Sometimes it is, and it's simply a method of her trying to, in her eyes, protect herself. But in many cases, it's like, all right, he's not really my type, or you don't really see him that way. But since he seems to have so much interest, you're gonna give it a try, right? And sometimes giving it a try turns into people getting married and things of that nature. Now, if two people start off that way but end up married because this woman genuinely falls in love with this man, generally has a high level of desire for him, all right, cool. Though I think we got to dissect how a lot of times it's not really falling in love that's happening there, but we'll leave that for a different discussion. My problem is a lot of times it's not that a lot of times what happens is that the woman, basically he's given her enough reason to say, all right, I'll go along with this, even into marriage, even though from day one, she still is never really into him. So to make this simple and clear, if you're gonna make him jump through hoops, chase you, earn your love, all these things, first even ask yourself, do I have enough genuine interest there? Because if you don't, why are we even bothering with this? Leave it alone. Because though I said there might be some situations that end up okay, way more end up in disaster and wasted time. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on before you date him, ask him these 5 important questions. A lot of people do not consider. When we understand that relationship, love is about giving